This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 413 for the week of October 9th, 2016. Welcome to Kanzenshuu,
the podcast,
an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu.
That's right, we cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening a little bit of entertaining. It's been a little bit since a podcast episode, but here we are. It's Mike, and joining me because it's video games and you are typecast, it's Karen.
How's it going, everyone? It was good to be back.
I hate having it that you're actually only here for video games, so we're going to try and change that a little bit. I got to figure out what I want to snap you away from Team 4-Star for.
I'm cool. Yeah. Pull me away from those crazy guys if you would. It's cool. I'll be the typecast video game guy. That's fine. But yeah,
it's cool. I kind of cycle through them every 3 or 4 years, so I feel like you're coming up on the end of your time. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So I do have Kieran here with me. Man, it's been a while. Before we jump into, I do want to do a news recap because it's been a while since the podcast. There's some cool things. We'll cover that. Our topic this episode, it is Xenoverse 2. The closed beta started. It was yesterday, right? I kind of forgot about it and then went, oh my God, I got to download this.
Yeah, I was up at 3 a.m. playing it as soon as it was available. So it's that time of year. It's I got to do it. And we didn't have our yearly release in November. So
exactly.
I'm all thrown off.
Right. So we're going to talk about that very early one day impression on Xenoverse 2, the closed beta that's been going. But again, before we jump into all that, for folks that haven't heard you before, we do have obviously some audience crossover. Who are you? What do you do? Why should anyone care about you?
I can't answer the last one.
All right, well, try the others.
I'll tell you. I'm Kieran, go by Lord Moonstone, sometimes online. I work with the groups over at Team 4-Star. You may have heard of them, with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I am the manager and runner of our gaming channel where we're working on playing every Dragon Ball game. So we just did a big stream for the Xenoverse 2 beta. If you guys haven't seen that, you can check it out on our TFS gaming channel. And we have a bunch of good times coming up this month. We're going to be playing through Evolutions, Sagas, every bad Dragon Ball game we can.
Oh my God. Having flashbacks here.
Oh, I know. We just wrapped up Evolution, and that game is a beaut.
Right. So here's my question for you. And I promise we're getting to the news, we're getting to the game stuff. But this is my question for someone who is, again, I've typecast you as the game guy. Now I'm typecasting you as like that lowly millennial. You have to explain things for me. I do not enjoy/understand watching other people play video games online. So explain for me.
Man.
Like, I get the surface level thing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Team 4-Star. I would probably enjoy listening to Team 4-Star people play video games from a franchise that I enjoy. So beyond that surface level explanation, what can someone get out of the streams that you guys produce?
What we do, specifically for Dragon Ball stuff, we love going to some in-universe stuff. We come up with we'll do some stupid lore characters on where they'll fit into the mythos of the world, and we'll come up with our own running story. We're kind of playing out our own fan fiction with these games.
Okay, all right.
So we try to offer some semblance of a story that gets reinforced by a whole bunch of fan art. We do a lot of fan highlights for everything. We try to just embrace the Dragon Ball community as a whole, and the game will be there, but we'll do a lot of Q&A stuff like, you guys saw this. We'll do a bunch of speculation, a bunch of theorizing. We'll get a bunch of other people from the community and talk with them. So, Curb hop in a few things before we try to get a whole bunch of people if we can.
That sounds delightful. So now that I've basically, like I said, I typecast you and then I pretty much insulted everything that you do.
And no, it's okay. I don't, you know what, if you want me to be honest, I don't expect people to watch a lot of stuff we do because it's very hard to sell this stuff if you haven't grown up in the generation it's like nowadays kids will just be watching people play video games because that's just what they do now. And I also have trouble wrapping my head around kids that grow up with, only touchscreen devices. It's that.
Right.
Oh, it's really different. There's a big generational gap going on, but I think I try to make it as fun and approachable for everyone as I can.
And if it's not clear, I do actually love Kieran, and I'm so glad he's here.
No. Hey, I'm back here after a year. How's it going, Kieran? Right all over me.
All right. So let's put that discussion behind us. Let's jump in and talk about some news here.
Let's do it.
Dragon Ball Super, there's a lot of stuff going on with the show right now, but again, I kind of like to separate the content from the news. There's a lot of content to discuss, but in terms of just pure raw news about Dragon Ball Super, the sixth ending theme started last week. I think we're 2 episodes in with this new ending theme. It is it's a tough song title to get across it's easy to get across in our language, but we have one of those Japanese doing Chinese that you then have to turn into English. So the title is Chaovon Music, which is fried rice music, except they're using the Chinese pronunciation in Japanese. I wasn't expecting this style of song. I was expecting something with maybe some Chinese influence based on the title, but I listened to some other music by this band, Arukara, and they're more of a straight up rock band. So to have this kind of, I don't know, like oriental flair to the ending theme, totally not what I was expecting. Do you have any thoughts on the song yet?
I only heard it in that I watched the latest episode, heard it there, so don't have you obviously explored it more than I have. But I don't know. I think overall, I think all of the ending themes are pretty interesting in the Super catalog. I've actually been digging pretty much every ending theme, and this one hasn't really been an exception. Like you said, it has an interesting flair to it that I wasn't expecting, but I also wasn't privy to, the naming conventions of it. Just kind of heard it happen. I was like, oh, that's nice. I enjoy that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, there definitely is for me something about every Super ending theme. I don't love all of them, but there is something that I enjoy about
I enjoy them more than the opening. I can't get past the opening. I can't.
I go up and down on it. I don't know. I feel like I have a different opinion on it.
Yeah, every week I'll go, yeah, I can sit through this, or no, I'm gonna skip it today.
So anyway, the CD single for this new song is coming out November 23rd. It's going to be 3 tracks and then 3 karaoke versions of those tracks. It's going to have this Super song. It's going to have the opening theme to the 3rd and 4th seasons of the anime Mysterious Joker, and then a song that is created in promotion of a PS4 game of the same name, Let It Die. So you can look forward to that in November. On the topic of Dragon Ball Super, a couple manga tidbits here. Viz has indeed continued their release of the manga on their website for free. It is region locked, so not everyone in the world can get it, but because it's on the internet and it is up for free, and you can get around that. Depending on where you live, where you are, and how you know how to Googles. Anyway, so they're up to chapter 9 right now, which is the entirety of the first print volume of Dragon Ball Super. That's going to be coming out in May from Viz. Then we did just get a very tiny, brief little announcement in the last Saikyo Jump issue that volume 2 in Japan is going to be coming out in December. We don't have any more specifics on it. We just know December. We don't know chapters, price point, page count, anything like that. I'm curious to see, now that Viz is up to chapter 9, if they're just gonna continue onward. They've been going on a bi-weekly schedule here, releasing these chapters. I don't know if they're gonna hang tight for a little bit. I feel like they gotta just keep it going and just catch up.
That's the only thing I see happening. If they've been pretty consistent through it, haven't they?
They have, totally.
Like, they started and haven't missed a bi-weekly period since then. I can only imagine they're going to keep going with it, and I think it's great they're offering it on the platform they are. That's really cool.
I agree entirely. That's really it for Dragon Ball Super, and in terms of other manga things, we did get a little tidbit. It's related to the Super manga in that it's also by Toyo Taro. The collector's edition of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is going to come packed with a Time Patroller's Guide, and said guide is going to have a special manga by Toyo Taro. We got the first page from it that Bandai Namco was promoting. It seems like it's just an introduction to the world and the story here, but that is, we've kind of been like, all right, so what does this collector's edition that I'm paying $150 for actually have? Well, you're gonna get a bonus little manga there, so hooray.
If that's worth the extra $50, I don't know.
We in addition to just this one preview page for it, we got a comment from Akira Toriyama himself. This is what he says: I've been drawing manga less often these days, so Toyo Taro has taken up the mantle of drawing Dragon Ball. I still contribute the basic ideas, but Toyo Taro's wonderful skills allow the Dragon Ball universe to be brought back to life in the present. A couple things here. This comment in conjunction with the Xenoverse manga brought on the onslaught of OMG, is Xenoverse a canon questions and speculation. The thing here, Toriyama's clearly talking about the Super manga that he works on with Toyo Taro, even though it's kind of between the lines here. I think think it's just a nice comment to get from Toriyama. It's like this. He's approving of the work that's going on. So I don't think you really need to read anything else into there. We can't have all these continuities all happening at the same time in the same timeline. That's just not going to work.
No, I think this is just a nice remark. Maybe the poor Oishi, man.
I know, right? I think everyone forgot about her.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she was off to a great start. Maybe, I don't know, but she was there, and then
she was
happened.
And Oishi was there.
Yeah, and I feel like I've loved Toyotaro's stuff so far. I'm glad he's got the ring endorsement finally in print from Toriyama. I think that's really nice. I don't think there's anything further to read into the canonicity of Xenoverse there. I definitely don't think that's implied anywhere.
Agreed. All right, let's talk about something else that you have extreme familiarity with recently yourself, Kieran, and that is Dragon Ball Fusion's getting the localization. Woo!
Woo! Best Dragon Ball game to happen in a while.
Agreed entirely. It's coming.
Good.
It's coming December 13th in America. Europe is getting a little later in February 2017. Now, as of last week, the game has sold a little over 170,000 copies in Japan. That's pretty good for a licensed game like this. And it's still hanging on to the Media Create list. They're in the top 10 even 9 weeks in at this point. The game is getting a free update this fall. We don't know exactly when, at some point. It's going to have a new time radar stage, which is going to be set in the real world, plus a new online versus and ranking function. Now, we don't know if this update is going to come pre-installed or later at some point. It's a part of the international version of the game. But Kieran, Jake and I did our initial impressions. We still have to do our final review. You were just telling me 60 hours into the Japanese version yourself.
Yeah, that if not more. I fell in love with this game right off the bat. I really hope that this does, because it feels like they're sending it kind of out there to die. Because what we're kind of getting is they're not dubbing anything like they have with the Extreme Batoda, and they're not touching any of the dub side of it. They're just going to translate it and have it out there. Are we getting a physical copy of it? Was that announced?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they're doing a physical release for it, but they're dropping it in December, which is going to be a little out from Xenoverse, obviously. But I just so wish they launched this earlier, because I feel like it's gonna get lost, and it might not do as well as they hoped. And I agree. I really hope it does, because this
totally
game is
get
so
overshadowed
good.
There.
Yeah, and it seems really, it's really unfortunate that they didn't bring it over sooner, because if that's the job they're going to be doing with the game, I wish they would have done it sooner. However the marketing department handles it, I don't know the back end of all this stuff, but I can say that Fusion's, anybody listening, it's coming to America, coming to Europe. You have to get it if you like Dragon Ball. It is so fun.
I had so much fun with the game. I'm thinking about all the issues and decisions they're going to have to make in localizing this game. You just think about all the random aliens and Mook characters that you can recruit. Everyone's going to name, and when they fuse, they get honorific names.
Portmanteaus, yeah.
Like, how are they I'm going to disagree with probably everything that they do.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're going to have another example where someone's going to be talking about characters like, I have no idea who you're talking about. Show me a picture so I can see who they were in Japanese.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of having all the fodder characters. They're all kind of made with the character creator, but seeing them bring all those people over, something's gonna get lost, something's gonna get changed, and that's just gonna how it's gonna be, because some of those probably won't translate as well as it works for us because we understand it,
and that's totally fine. I just feel bad for the localization team on this game. I just know
they got their work cut out for them, because I know they cut it down, but I know they have that Street Pass feature where you can fuse anybody together. Right. And I don't think those ones are named, but if they were, Godspeed.
So many names.
It's so good.
All right. One last bit of video game news. Speaking of Extreme Butoden in Japan, it and One Piece Great Pirate Coliseum, they're getting a cross-play update. Now, this One Piece game is pretty much just a reskin of the Dragon Ball game. It's exactly the same type of game, same looking game, same developer. Now, no word if this crossplay update is going to make it out internationally. We don't even know if the One Piece game is going to come out internationally. I'm going to assume probably not. The sales for this game have completely tanked just 2 weeks in. Already half off on Amazon Japan, and it fell so hard its second week. And I was noting this on Twitter. I guess someone responded, they just had a fighting game last year. I think it may have also been on 3DS. So that's a little bit of oversaturation going on. At least Dragon Ball, it went from fighting to RPG. That was, good mix it up there on the platform. But yeah, I'm not really up on the One Piece games lately. I was maybe like 15 years ago when there weren't that many.
Missed a few. I played through what was it? Burning Blood, I think it was the latest one.
Okay.
We did that for our channel. So we played through that, and that game was not very good. And I know they did have that, I can't remember what it was called, but yes, they did have an earlier fighting game last year, but after 2 weeks, that's not good. That makes me sad.
Hard, real hard.
Man, that's a real shame because I love Extreme Butoden system, but I don't know, maybe the One Piece fans already have what they need.
Yeah. I'm real curious if maybe next year, as the 3DS is kind of on its, deathbed, as we approach whatever's going to, I think the 3DS is going to hang on a little longer than probably Nintendo even wants, but we'll see. Anyway,
see it too.
I'm kind of curious if they'll do almost like a 2.0 release for both games that just includes both games on the same cartridge. So you don't have to worry about crossplay. You just kind of get everyone and get everything all in the same game. Yeah. I don't know that the fact that this game, the One Piece game, fell so hard, I feel like they're going to look for some way to recoup their costs. And I actually wonder if the crossplay announcement was this early look at, oh man, this game is probably going to do poorly. What can we do to generate some more interest in it? And even this isn't working. I don't know. I'm not a game developer, so I have no clue what they would do.
It's hard. It's really hard to figure out what the best solution is for, recouping costs when it comes to
cut your losses and
Like I really hope they do something with it because, as a fan, obviously I love the premise, but that is pretty damning having it fall off that soon. I don't know what they can do. I think a bundle might be good. Probably a digital only bundle would be the easiest, most cost effective thing to do. And I think I could see them bundling them together with another update or something, but man, that's a shame.
It is a shame. It's a little bit of One Piece news in your DBZ news, but we're getting crossplay. The crummy thing there is the way I've been taking screenshots is just been doing that Miiverse trick where I post things in Miiverse and then save them. But the online play with Extreme Butoden, because you're online, obviously you can't pause what you're doing to go to Miiverse to post a screenshot. So I'm not going to be able to take super clear screenshots of the crossplay going on unless I get some kind of capture device. But you have that. So
yeah, that's right. I'll see what I can do. If I can't get a hold of it, then hey, I'll send them your way.
Well, I think that wraps up our news recap from the last couple of weeks. It's time to talk about the ZV2. Wait, no, it's the XV2. How do I letters?
Let's do it.
So right now we are in the first of two beta periods, if you want to call it that. I have a problem with that naming convention. This is the closed beta for Xenoverse 2. We're going to have an open one. For this closed one, there were a couple ways you could get in. The most common, I think, was the digital pre-order. If you had that on PS4, you got into it automatically. The easy way that I got in, so I didn't have to bug anyone and didn't feel like I owed anyone anything, was, I bought last month's V-Jump and there was a code in there. So
oh, really? That's awesome.
That was super easy. So I just popped that over to my Japanese account and loaded it up, and that was all I needed to do. The UK branch of Bandai Namco seemed like they were doing much more publicizing codes and tossing them out there and cooperating with some YouTuber folks. The American branch I saw doing essentially nothing. I think this is one of the things I'm concerned about with Fusions is we're always seeing the European branch do so much better advertising for the Dragon Ball games. The American branch is like, whatever, it's Dragon Ball. We know it's going to sell. We ain't got to do nothing here for it.
Europe gets so many cool bonuses too. And
they do.
I don't know. We did on our end. We actually did get copies from Bandai Namco America. So we actually got some from their department. They're reaching out to a few people.
They are
other YouTubers as well. So they are doing something, but definitely not nearly as widespread as the European one.
And that's the thing. I think they're the American branch, and rightfully so. They're going direct to the YouTube source, and that's how they're getting some of that stuff out there. I feel like they're not doing the social media outreach themselves. They're relying. This is one of those things I have a problem with, where the state of games journalism. I don't actually have a problem with actual games journalism. Do not put me into that group. I have a problem with some of the folks who do coverage who don't yet have that maturity to do the distinction between coverage and being the promotional arm of someone without realizing you're being the promotional arm of someone. And I'm not accusing you guys at Team 4-Star of doing that.
No,
don't get me wrong.
Trust me, I know what you're talking about. And yes, I understand completely.
Can I sound any more like a salty, bitter old fucking frustrated man on this episode.
It's okay because
Jesus.
man, once the game started up, I was playing it with my roommate at 3 a.m, and we were just feeling like, are we just looking for things to be mad about?
Oh, I know. So now we're back to 1999.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's actually talk about the game a little bit. We talked about how you could get it. The open beta is going to be coming up. I believe everyone's going to be able to get into it. How we played, I've just been playing on my Japanese account, so I'm struggling a little bit here and there. But just like Fusions, where it's they make the game pretty easy to figure out. There's icons on your map.
Yeah, if you can read iconography, you're fine.
Right. So I've been pretty okay there. You were saying you were playing by yourself, but then you guys did that big stream as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I've clocked in total probably somewhere around 8 hours already on this beta. So I've tested as much as I possibly can, and it's got a lot to it. I was actually
really surprised.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with how much of not just the story, but the online elements they included for everything.
Right.
So I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, so we had the network test for the first version, or the first game, and I think that is probably a better way to describe what this is rather than a beta. But in this case, as opposed to what we had on PS3 about a year and a half ago, it's pretty much the beginning of the game, and then you get a decent selection of the parallel quests to play. You only get a couple offline ones. I saw you commenting on this. You get a larger variety. It's like 10 or something? 10?
Yeah, I think you get about 10 to 11, I think. I think it's 10 online quests, and you can only play 2 of them offline, which initially I was like frustrated about because I wanted to do a lot of stress testing on the random generation stuff. But it makes sense because this is, as you said, this is a network test. This is no beta. This is the game that's coming out. This is a server test for them.
Right. They want to know, all right, so this is just our hardest core fans. Can we even deal with this amount of people?
Yeah.
Man, you remember how awful it was during launch? I mean, this was pretty much an MMO launch with Xenoverse 1.
It was a nightmare because they had that first test, they had the second test, and the game launched, and there were still problems for like the first 3 days.
Yeah. It was bad. Xenoverse has done gangbusters in terms of sales, particularly in Europe and America. I mean, I think they really surprised themselves with just how well this did. Xenoverse 2, I'm curious to see how that's going to follow up on it. But yeah, this really is a network test. They're really forcing you, or at least guiding you to do as much online stuff as you can. Once you get past that early, just the early story beats, again, it's the beginning of the game. Let's talk about the hub world a little bit. This Kanton City. They've been saying it's 7 times larger than the previous hub city. How do you feel about a larger hub? I mean, we had these thoughts, I don't know if you would call them complaints, in the first game, where you just go along to all these different stations. It's essentially a glorified menu system. And at some point, we're like, well, I just want to play an online match. Can't I just do that from a menu? Or does that break the immersion of being in a world? Now that we have a world that's 7 times larger than the previous one, how do you feel about this glorified menu setup?
I think this is a step in a better direction. It's not exactly the improvement I was hoping for, but I think that there is enough different about and included in this hub world to validate its existence. I enjoy it in the level that Fusions had its crazy, mishmash landscape that was just fun to explore. And
right.
Oh, cool. There's, Kame House and this floating island. What's down there? Oh, that's like Dr. Zero's hideout. They had a bunch of neat little Easter eggs and locations. And I don't know if you can fly in this beta, so I haven't been able to, explore everywhere. And there are some places locked off. However, I found it fun to go around, and there are items peppered around the world. They'll have faster ways to get around with mounts and stuff. And once you can unlock flying, I can only imagine that being easier. I enjoyed going around to the places and seeing the locales because they made them so much more interesting and part of the game instead of like a barrier to entry. I feel like it works more in the sense that you are this adventurer in this crazy world. Here's all these other people doing a bunch of different stuffs around the map. It didn't feel like this encumbered menu you had to walk around. So I'm liking it. And they have those little teleport robots you can use.
They do, yeah.
I wish you could do it from your own menu. Like you could just hit start and teleport to wherever you wanted. Mm-hmm. But they're close enough in proximity that's not really that much of an issue.
Yeah, there's one pretty much everywhere. I wanted to hone in on something you said. You used the word mount. We're using more and more MMO terminology with this second
I didn't even realize it.
So for those of you who don't play MMOs, a mount is a vehicle or animal or something that you ride around on that increases your speed. You do get one here in the beta. It's just a little floating tripod-y kind of hover thing.
Some hover platform capsule corp thing.
Right. You hold L2, you can go faster. But I really do feel like I'm living in an MMO hub city where fast travel traveling between places and going over and loading up my duty finder and choosing the instance I want to jump over to. And then I'm back over here and spending my currency on upgrades to do the elevator grind all over again.
Yep. I think it's definitely better, a step in a better direction from one where they were kind of wishy-washy between do we have these MMO elements? Do we have these action RPG elements? Do we have these fighting game elements? This one seems like they're definitely pushing for you are in an MMO world.
Yeah.
Like everything from the gameplay to the world design feels like they're pushing for that experience.
I agree. They definitely want you to feel more like you're in a true, real, breathing world. Yeah. And like you said, there are some areas that are locked off in this beta, but I am getting that feeling like this is much more of a world. The jumping is terrible, though. What the hell happened there?
Right, like you stop. Like when you hit X, like you just stop for a second, then jump, then they play the sound effect like a little late, and then you
bunny hop thing.
Yeah, then you land, and then you have to wait again. Like there's a delay between the start and the end of your jump, and it's real bad.
It's real bad. Like, it affects nothing. But
no, you know what? It's
super.
I was talking about earlier. I was looking for things to get mad about.
Right.
Oh, geez.
Well, let's talk about some other presentation stuff, and we'll get into the gameplay and the grind and all that kind of stuff. What I don't understand, why are they still doing this graphical filter where everything's a little desaturated?
Oh man, so we found out on our stream there is a way to change that.
Okay,
in the game.
There?
Yes, it's actually if you go. Yeah, when you're in the hub world, you can actually hit your options button and go down to or whatever and hit the adjust game brightness. And what you think that would be was a typical brightness slider makes things more white as you go. This brightness slider gets rid of that stupid white frame that's over everything, and it makes things so much more vibrant. I'm like, yes, this is so much more colorful. I don't feel like I'm in a haze the entire time.
Oh, thank goodness. I mean, that's the fault of me playing in Japanese this time, where I kind of I know all the essential stuff, but I didn't go in. Like I was able to adjust the axes of my camera. Like I can do that kind of stuff. I didn't find what I needed here though. All right. That is good to know. That's the first thing I'm going to go do.
Yeah, please. I recommend to everyone that tries it, fix that. It looks bad. I don't know why.
Well, things that I know I can't just go into a menu and fix. The sound mixing is still terrible again in this game.
Oh, no. We first noticed, when I was playing it with my friend, that the music, or not the music, the sound effects are so high in the mix. And then sometimes these voices come in, even the opening cutscene, when Trunks is talking, or at least in the dub, I noticed this opening up. Trunks is talking, and then Supreme Kai of Time comes in.
Yep, that's where I noticed it. Yep, it was her.
What's she saying? I can't hear anything. The music is drowning her out. And I kept going back and forth, messing with the sound effects, the music, the voices, to the point where for one mission, I turned all of them except the voices off. It gets pretty nuts at times. It's definitely inconsistent from the hub world to missions, and some characters are just louder than others through all their lines.
They really are. They're all over the place. And it's the kind of thing you're not going to be able to fix this in the menu system because it's so all over the place that you're never going to get it consistent for what you want.
And it's just it really sucks because the sound effects, I love the sound design of the game, but
they're so loud.
They come in loud and distorted. I don't know.
This is a problem in the first game. Is this not an easy, again, not a game developer, is this not an easy thing to fix? I mean,
see, that's what I was thinking, because that Dragon Ball collection mission where you are carrying the Dragon Balls, the radar is constantly pinging all the time. I'm like, I get it. I have them. Stop it.
I'm literally holding it. I'm on the last one. I'm almost there. Please just stop.
Did nobody play this mission and realize how irritating that is?
Right.
I don't know.
So I had one weird graphical glitch. I don't know if it was that mission. Maybe it was a similar one. It was where you're fighting all of the Ginyu members. And it did the thing where after you defeat them a little bit, they get back up and they fight again. Except all their bodies disappeared. And so I saw invisible bodies get up and be the focus of the screen.
Yeah, I ran into multiple glitches, some game ending.
Really?
With when I was playing around with the human, we'll get into their special abilities later. I was playing with the human on Kinton with the Nyoibo, and I'm messing around with them, hitting Ozaru Vegeta, and he does his jump up attack, hit me out of the skybox, and the game crashed. That was
nice.
And then my friend was using his Namekian, and he went giant, beat up him, and then just the mission wouldn't end, and they were playing online, and they were just stuck there waiting for 7 minutes. And
I've seen that
failed.
a lot. Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh no, I hope they fix this soon.
That really feels like a day one patch thing that we're going to be
I can only assume.
Any other weird, glitchy things before we get into the gameplay stuff? That's pretty much all I've noticed.
Yeah, those were the really hampering ones that I noticed. But yeah, definitely some. I had some problems with characters like seeming like they were going to die, or like moves. A lot of problems with moves I noticed. Like from Xenoverse 1 moves that you can import in with your character. Tried using them and they just weren't working. Like for sometimes, like I'd do Final Flash on somebody and the hitbox would hit. As it's like initially passing through them, like the circle part of the beam would hit them. Sure. But as the beam travels through it, they're just walking to me.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, oh, okay. I guess the front part is the hitbox, and now they can hit me because I'm wide open. So I don't know if that's a glitch or not.
Speaking of hitboxes, I don't know if this had something to do with the proximity of my character to, again, the Great Apes. I was fighting them, and I would be pressing my attack buttons, and they would do nothing.
Yes, I noticed that too. Yeah.
That can't just be me sucking. That feels like a design flaw of, so I can't be this close to them, but why wouldn't I be this close to them to attack them?
I actually noticed kind of an inverse scenario where I was playing my human character on Quinton trying to go in, and the triangle attack is this dash attack, and once your character is close enough, he will hit with the staff. They were just doing that dash attack over and over and over, never using the staff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I guess the hitbox to recognize the Ozaru features are like too far in the model. I don't know.
So I don't know what's up there, but I feel like these are these little things that make it feel janky enough. Like, oh, right, this is a Dragon Ball game and not, dare I say, a AAA release.
It's not.
But even then, these AAA releases are the jankiest of the janky these days.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to even phrase it.
I don't know. A polished experience, you don't get it anymore. Right. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get into some of that gameplay stuff. Xenoverse is developed by Dimps, who worked on the previous game. They worked on the Budokai series, and then they faded away for a while as Spike came into the forefront. They did the Sparking series. They did the Raging Blast stuff. But now we're back to Dimps, and they're working on Xenoverse 2 here. The way I think we all pretty much described the first Xenoverse was a mix of the Budokai and the Sparking, the Budokai Tenkaichi style. Like it feels like a Dimps fighting game in that free roam 3D environment. And Xenoverse 2 is pretty much exactly the same. I mean, I spent a lot of time with the first game, but as I get older and play more and more games, I'm remembering the specifics of them less and less. So I'm going to rely on you here. How different did this feel so far compared to the first one? Is there anything you're noticing so far?
Yes, actually, I'm working on a video comparison for the two.
Great.
With Xenoverse 1's combos, there was a system where you could put in. This game entirely relies on square triangle for most of your melee attacks, and in the previous game, you could do all very simple variations, typical God of War, Devil May Cry. Light, 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 heavy, 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 light, back and forth dance between the two.
Right.
You could do your light, 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 and then heavy, wait for a second, light, 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 heavy, wait, and just keep doing it over and over and over. And the AI would not be able to do anything. They, I want to say, remedied this by making all of your combos in 2 knock the person away. Every single combo ender pushes the person away from you. So it almost makes me question how effective a lot of the melee combat's going to be, because the good part of it in 1 was that you could have really, really concise and really efficient combos when you're close up. Now why should you be close up if you're just going to keep pushing them farther away from you?
Right.
So,
and I am a melee player. I played the Frieza clan character in the first game, and in the beta here for the second game, I've been doing the same thing. And I like to play up close and personal. I'm a pretty offensive player in these kind of games, which is different from how I play Street Fighter, which is very different. I don't know why that is. That I wouldn't say I'm mature.
These aren't fighters. These are mashers. So
right. And I feel like I can just totally mash at it. And,
you can.
But so maybe that is something I'm unconsciously noticing a little bit, where I felt like I'm stringing together a lot of stuff, but something feels slightly different about it.
Yeah.
And I think I am going to just switch over to maybe playing a Saiyan character as I go over to the full retail release, because there was a lot of stuff in the first game, the Bardock mission in particular. I don't want to say it was impossible to complete as a melee character, but it pretty much was, because you had these characters everywhere. People were like, no, just put on like Super Super Saiyan 2 and Final Flash. And
Yeah,
just
spam Final
it.
Flash, spam your AoE move, and hey, there you go, you're done. Because there was no, I don't think, feasible way if you were at the proper level to beat that mission with melee alone. It was ridiculous.
Which, I'm not super happy about going into the second game, because I don't know if we're going to run into similar issues. I would hope not. I hope that's the kind of thing that they saw and would reflect on for a second game. And maybe they will. I don't know.
From my testing, at least what we have in our little appetizer serving here, I definitely see that happening in later game, because there were just, I made a character for every single race. I tried out every single thing.
Oh, cool.
And they, I noticed that there was a kind of heavily skewed in the Namekian favor when it comes to a lot of stuff, because their giant form is ridiculous. It is so strong. And it almost feels like the rest of the classes just can't compete with that when it comes to damage output. You can finish missions so fast with that.
Maybe no one played that in the first game. They're like, all right, well, here you go.
Yeah, like I feel like, because honestly, Namekians really kind of got the shaft in last game. They really didn't have anything good for them, but this giant form is spectacular, to the point where I'm concerned about how this is going to work. I never did much PvP in the first game, so if anybody's looking for PvP experiences, I don't know if this might screw up everything, because they seem very, very strong.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because the first game, it really is a single player game that allows you to play against other people. And the weird thing with the roster is, people are like, oh, who's in this game? How many other characters can I play as? But the game really trains you to only play your custom created character. And I'm curious if the second game is pretty much going to lead us down that same road. And so why would you play as any other character? What incentive do you get to play as any other character? Will you want to even play against other people? I mean, I guess you would. I feel like I burned myself out on the game so hard that I had no desire to play against other people. And I'm wondering what this second game is going to do to balance that stuff.
I hope I can't really postulate what they could do to fix it, because at its core, this franchise now is just the experience of having your created character, your OC, in this mythical Dragon Ball world, and the entire game is centered around that experience, to the point where your first created character is a central figure in the story of 2. So they're trying to be like, hey, look how cool he was. You got to live up to that person with your own dude. And you can play as a character, and the actual benefit of playing as a pre-made like Goku or Tullis or whoever is they might have better moves than your created character, and their stats get scaled as your character levels up. So early on, they are definitely I was definitely playing as Beerus a few times in Xenoverse 1, because he was just better than my guy.
That's true. I remember that when the pre-order was Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Those early missions, it made more sense to play as him, because you're way stronger.
He had a great arsenal. Even though his stats were scaled down, he was still well above the curve to do everything you needed.
Yeah, I feel like what I'm going to enjoy doing online is similar to what I did with the first game, and that's the online parallel quests, just to have someone who's not a computer, totally dead in the brain AI helping me along the way. But I guess we'll see how that works.
Yeah, what that comes down to is also this has that MMO audience in mind, like the people that like playing games in that fashion. So it's also going to, MMOs need this level of communication. And when you're doing like the 6-on-1 boss, if someone grabs like Great Ape Nappa's tail in that giant epic mission, no one else can hit them while they're doing that tail grab, and it just severely hampers your DPS for the mission, or damage per second. Sorry, I keep doing all these MMO terms.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, because I know but I'll try to play it down. But somebody in the team could mess up stuff for everyone else if they're not on the same page. So on one hand, yes, it is fun playing with people. On the other, I played the entirety of Xenoverse 1 offline, because I felt every other teammate was just messing things up for me.
I pretty much did the same thing. So now that I'm talking about it, I wonder how much I will do online. But
yeah, so I don't know. I did enjoy the stuff with the beta. I didn't see anything terrible. There wasn't anything game breaking playing with people. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So I guess let's talk a little bit more meta about this game, and that's we've already addressed some of this. Are you ready for another grind fest that isn't a real MMO here in Xenoverse 2, where you're playing a mission, you're replaying a mission, you're hoping you're going to get those conditions at the end to get your better equipment, which allows you to fight the next mission, where you're going to play that mission over and over to get those special conditions to get the equipment, which then allows you to, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the loop here, and it's definitely something. It seems they've definitely scaled down the level of randomness, I noticed. So I'm not nearly as peeved about grinding missions, because from the ones that I've tried, I noticed that if you every mission will have these circumstances, like beat Goldo first before you collect the Dragon Balls. Then after you beat him, like the other 4 come out, and then you can collect all 7, and you get the ultimate finish for the mission. After in the first game, once you get you would do that condition. Say you beat Goldo first, there was a chance that the second event would happen, and then a chance after that to get the reward for beating that event. In this game, it seems 100%. Like every mission I've played to do the condition of like beating Goldo first and getting the balls, I have gotten the ultimate finish, which is where you can get the really good items. I haven't gotten the good items every time, but I've gotten decent ones, which is at least enough to be better than just getting a stupid capsule heal thing that you would always get in Xenoverse and just stock those up. So I'm definitely thinking this is much more lenient and kind of accelerated with the fact that you can carry over your data and have your move set from the last game too, kind of helped expedite the early game stuff. So
now what I'm reading is when because you can import your character, it's gonna look for your previous save file. The really interesting thing is that I played both the Japanese Xenoverse on my Japanese account and the American Xenoverse on my American account for the first game. I played the Japanese beta here on my American account, and it picked up my American save file, which I was totally not expecting. So I imported my, again, Frieza Race Clan character from my American Xenoverse 1 save and imported him here. Now, from what I've been reading, it allows you to import that character, so he's like the hero of time, essentially, and it'll bring over his or her special moves, but not everything that you hit.
It brings over their 4. You have 4 slots for specials. You'll get their ultimates, their evasive, and if you had there was like a certain list that shows you on this beta where it was like, if your character has these moves, they'll be converted into Zenny or something. I don't know if they're too good to have, or if they just got rid of them or nerfed them substantially. So they do have a caveat to bringing over everything. So you only get whatever they're wearing and whatever they have equipped. You don't get all that stuff. That said, I did notice running through this, I'm not sure if this was the case for Xenoverse 1, that I was playing through multiple characters, that my money and my, like, the multiple currencies, the Zenny and the tournament points or whatever they're called, was actually transferring between every character I was making. So, and every item that I bought, every piece of equipment or skill I unlocked, I could use for the next character right off the bat.
Okay, that's cool.
I hope that carries over to the retail release, because that is a nice feature.
In the first game, you couldn't create a character until you quote unquote beat the game, right?
Yes, you were railroaded to one character, and then you could go make, I think they had 8 slots you could fill up after that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the final retail release if they'll do a similar thing in the second game.
It seems to be the case, since you couldn't make multiple characters in the beta. You had to delete that guy and make another one. So I think that's what it's going to be.
All right. Again, it's been less than 2 days we've had with this closed beta. You've sunk a ton of time into it, which is great. I'm so glad I had you here on the show. I'm still poking my way through some of the early stuff in the Japanese version. So before we start thinking about wrapping things up, let's talk about the story a little bit, because again, we are playing basically the beginning of this game where our time patroller shows up and he's been recruited. And by the way, this cool dude from the first game, he's here and ain't he awesome? And well, it's up to you. Let's go do some stuff. And oh, by the way, Tellus and Slug are like main characters.
We got Tellus and Slug, put them in everything. Aren't they cool? Oh man.
This really feels like oh shit, no one else knew. I think this game lends so much credibility to the no one fucking knew what Super was going to be.
Yes, I like that. That never became more apparent to me than when they rescinded Black being pre-order bonus. They were like, oh, whatever, it's a character from Super. And like, oh no, wait, he is actually kind of important.
We need everyone to buy this.
Yeah. So it just, cool. You're getting movie villains. They should have been the first one.
Agreed. Yep.
Like the way they spin this story is you start off as, hey, here's the hero of time. You're in this new secret mission. You're a cool time patroller following in his footsteps. And then, in the last game had Toa and Mira, the characters from Dragon Ball Online, now are back at it again, messing up time and everything.
Right.
But now the big bads of the story are Tellus and Lord Slug.
Because
who cares?
Okay.
I don't know. There's no reason for it, really. It's just, hey, the Saiyan saga happened. What if Tellus was there? Hey,
right.
Zarb. And then, I love that the Namekian story is, oh man, what if Zarbon and Dodoria were chasing them?
And what if Slug was by a mountain?
And then Slug shows up, and it seems so. I do not care for this story compared to 1. 1 was interesting at the time. It was a fresh take on stuff, and it brought characters from online and heroes to the console. So I was like, yes, let's see how they implement them. now that they've been in everything, their luster's kind of faded for me. Like seeing Toa and Mira, I like that they lend themselves to these kooky, interdimensional, interspatial hijinks. But really, Tellus and Slug are your things. And I forgot, Forgetful Bardock is here.
Well, yeah, I think that's the only exciting thing is that unless you've been playing Heroes in Japan in arcades, this is going to be your first time playing with Timebreaker Bardock, unless you also play Dragon Ball Online, because we're finally bringing Timebreaker Bardock over into the story. I felt like he was the only notable omission from Xenoverse 1 in terms of the fuller Dragon Ball Online story. So that definitely seems like the route to go here in this game. I mean, we've seen a lot of other stuff in the trailers, like Bardock special stuff, like Trunks special stuff. Hopefully we get some cool things, but I know this is how we wrapped up our review with the first game. It's like, all right, great basis here. A second game could be cool. Do we just do What If Time again?
That's definitely what it's leading toward. They're pulling in more online elements, and I love those. I love the stuff with online. Sure, bring those over, but man, it's kind of feeling tired because there is not enough change from 1. Hell, the parallel quests that you're doing in 2 are just the same from 1.
Yeah.
So I really can't judge if this is any different or any better until like you're done with the story, kind of like until we see where it goes. Because right now off the bat, this doesn't feel like a different game very much. There's that, they added a few like charged key blasts. You can do that raging blast dash where you dash really fast behind somebody. They have, so they added stuff and they tweaked with things a bit. You have the new forms. I'm really disappointed with the Boo form, but I mean, again, that's from online. But they turn into like they're purified. They go into like a kid Boo form. And it's just whoever your Boo's skin color was. And
that's your strongest, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they threw in a bunch of stuff, but they didn't fix the basis that was there. And that was my biggest complaint. I was like, I like the stuff you have, but there's just something at the core of the game that makes me not want to sink all this time into it. It doesn't feel gratifying most of the time.
I think I would have more faith because I think there is still a lot of cool stuff you can do with fixing time, even if you're doing it again. But I was ragging on Bandai Namco on Twitter the other day. I really feel like we're a month out from release, and the only thing they're doing over and over again is, yo guys, we got Majin Vegeta.
Yeah, like that.
I know. What else you got? We're a month out. What else you got?
They haven't left any hints because in that first trailer that dropped, the big thing was, look how cool the Trunks cutscene looks. Look how cool the Bardock cutscene looks.
Yeah.
Nothing on those. Like, are we just going to be playing those stories? Are they going to play a crux? They're on the cover. Like, so is there something there that they're just not letting on and just kind of letting it go out to be explored? Or do they not have faith that there's anything extra? And they're like, we'll just add this stuff to the base of Xenoverse 1. I don't know.
That's my concern. Yeah. Is that, have they played all their cards already? And I would be less concerned if they didn't just keep repeating themselves over and over and over with their social media promotion. It's just, look, we got Giants. Look, we got Majin Vegeta. Wash, rinse, repeat. Like, I know. You got to show us something else here. And even the most recent issue of Vicham was like, Nail. Here's Nail.
Cool. They don't have any gangbuster. There's no like Demigra. That was an original character. Cool, cool thing. Fine. Nothing here of that. Like all of these are just things from other games or other venues that we've seen showing up in the kooky time hijinks. They could maybe pull off something cool because there are plenty of venues for the what ifs. I've always loved the Dragon Ball games for what if stories. But this just seems like Xenoverse 1 and hey, here's those 10 characters we added and they're peppered through the same story far. Like I'm really hoping the story has something more to it because right now I do not have a lot of faith.
I agree. I hope it has a hook, but I'm really concerned now and they're just not doing anything to
dissuade us from thinking that otherwise.
Yeah. So again, it's only been 2 days. We have no idea what we're talking about just yet because we don't have the final retail release of the game.
Yeah, so all heavy speculation, all that stuff. So
all of our opinions could totally change and it may end up being the best Dragon Ball story. Oh no, Dragon Ball Fusion story was pretty spectacular.
No, you cannot beat the top of Fusions. That was pretty great.
So, Kieran, we are done here. We'll continue playing into the open beta, and then again, the game is out in less than a month at this point. The more I play Xenoverse, the less I want to play Xenoverse, and that concerns me as well. But I do always want to see how the story plays out, and that's my driving force here. Is I just want to know what happens.
Aren't we just duty bound at this point in time?
I mean, I've been saying that for almost 20 years now. Is that
okay?
my excuse is,
this is my point in time now. I'm younger. Okay, give me.
It's my quote unquote job to do this. Mike, why are you playing that shitty Dragon Ball? I guess I have to.
I'm hoping it'll at least be, I'm hoping it'll send some curveballs my way. I want to be surprised. I really do.
All right, so we'll bring things to a close. This has been episode 413 of our podcast here at Kanzenshuu. Got some awesome stuff coming over the next couple of weeks. Something I just shared on Twitter last night. I got in a 1993 issue of Proto Culture Addicts, which is a magazine. It started as a straight up zine and then it turned into a larger magazine. I have some later issues from when I started getting into anime in 96. 93 was a little before my time, but I have started acquiring more things to add to the press archive of the site there on Kanzenshuu. I have at least 2 more magazines showing up this week, and I'm really excited to share some of that new stuff. If I haven't made it clear, my focus really is going to be on the pre-Funimation and very, very early concurrent Funimation press coverage at that time, because what excites me about Dragon Ball coverage in America in 1993 in particular, something like 93, 94, Funimation didn't exist yet, and therefore they had no sway on the coverage of Dragon Ball. These folks were free to say and do whatever they wanted with whatever resources they had available to them with no expectations. I just love reading that stuff. So I'm really excited to share some of that stuff with you over the next week or two.
Yeah, can I just say really quick?
Yes, please.
I love that direction. I have been enthralled with this stuff because
that's awesome.
When it comes to like current fandom, I'm in it right now. The decades by is so interesting seeing how, because the future was so like I don't know where this is going to go, and then you seeing it develop over time is so fascinating. And I think there's so much cool stuff, and I'm glad that you are leading the charge here of reviving all that old fandom, because it's really, really fascinating to me, and I think it's really cool.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. What else we got going on? And we got the news, we got the super, we got all that stuff.
Whole bunch of super nonsense going on.
Oh man, episode guide pages, and we'll indeed be doing a saga recap at some point when this arc wraps up. I know it's been a while since a podcast, but in your feed, if you are a subscriber to the show, and I did actually post this on the homepage of the site as well. Our buddy Kerbifer, Chris Niosi, he had me on his Kerblog to talk about Dragon Ball GT. Last month, he talked about GT for an hour. And then just this last week, Inagata Dabida, Dustin had me on his show a year ago. He's doing a reboot of his Kind Sound Waves podcast.
Oh, really? Awesome. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's cool. I know Scott Kazuneko was on one of his episodes.
Yeah,
he remixed, redid all of his initial batch of interviews with an awesome format. He's calling it like an audio scrapbook. So he's mixing in a little bit of music, but also audio recordings from other sources like TED Talks, and just explanations that tie into other things related to the subject that's being discussed. Cool. It's super, super cool. So his latest one is a remix of the interview he did with me. And he did keep the original one available if you want to listen to the full discussion, but the remix version of it is super cool. It's much more condensed, much more to the point. So I totally recommend that as well. That's listed on the podcast section of our site. We have a special and guest appearances page, so you can check that out, and links to everything is in there. So that's what I got going on. Kieran, awesome. What is up with you and the Team 4-Star Gaming right now?
Well, we're plugging away at all. We're going to be starting up our Dragon Ball nonsense coverage come Xenoverse time. So 25th, we're going to be right on there. We're probably going to maybe do another stream of it once we have the more open beta, probably do some more online shenanigans with viewers. So if y'all want to play games with a bunch of nerds, feel free to hop in on that stream. Don't have a definite time for it yet, but around that next Xenoverse 2 network update, you can look out for that. I'll be blasting it on Twitter and a bunch of other stuff on Team 4-Star. If you follow us there, you'll certainly see it.
I know that your role has expanded there a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You did writing on the version of DBZ Movie 7 abridged, right?
Yes, I was one of the main writers for the Super 13 movie, for the Wheelo movie, and one episode of the abridged series. So.
Nice. So is there anything you want to tease that you're going to be working on in terms of abridged in the future?
Nothing abridged. However, my friend and we are working on something that will be posted on the Team 4-Star main channel. We have this series coming out. Think Inferno Cop meets everything you need to know about Dragon Ball.
I'm sold.
So this is just a project we have in the works for just a very, very fun approach to the Dragon Ball stuff. So definitely look forward to it. We're shooting for November, but it'll probably be around December. We're going to be working on some extra shows, not just Dragon Ball Abridged, that have to do with more anime stuff. So we're kind of making a big expansion there. So hope you guys enjoy it.
Very cool. Well, I will certainly check that out. I promise.
I would love if you did. I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if I said this on air, but I listened to you guys in middle school, and I'm trying to keep it calm here.
I remember that. I know. Someone told me while you were doing one of the Pokemon streams that you started talking about your early days of listening and visiting the site.
Oh,
I know what that was. So I totally spied on you.
Oh man, no, I'm pretty sure I dropped a big nostalgia bomb on talking about how much I loved listening to you guys, and still do to this day. So thank you very much for having me on again. It's been a blast.
Well, thank you. So that's going to bring 413 to a close. www.kanzenshuu.com. I have been Mike Vegito EX. That was Kieran, Lord Moonstone. For Heath, Julian, Jake, and all the other folks we have on the show from time to time, it has been a pleasure. We'll see you next time for 414 for the topic that I thought I was going to do this week, but then I forgot about the Xenoverse 2 beta, so I swapped them up, and we'll talk about that then. See ya.